Welcome to Small Talk Daily for Friday, October 8th, 2010. This morning I wanted to go back to WACounter, probably the simplest Seaside example that could exist, and explain how it gets from the code into the browser here. So if I go to the browser, after I've loaded that example, I can go to Examples, Counter, and there it is. I hit the plus plus button, it increases, minus minus, it decreases. So how do I go from code to actually sitting in that browser? Well, a couple of things. You come into the browser. The first thing is, when you go to the definition, you'll notice it's subclassed from, well, here it's example component, but if I go to the class hierarchy, the important thing is WA component. The example component is just something that the Seaside guys have set up to make their examples easier. But the basic thing is WA component. If I go over here to render content on, this is the method where you paint your user interface on the canvas. And the canvas comes to you through this HTML variable that comes passed in, and you can put things on the canvas. A heading, an anchor. The anchors have callbacks. Here's the label for the anchor. So that's how you put things on your canvas. So you might think that if you can put down anchors, you can put down other things, buttons, lists, and so on. Well, if I go here to implementers of, and you can't see what I'm selecting, but over here to the right I'm selecting anchor. So when I pull that up, I get WA HTML canvas anchor, and you might think, well, if I can put down anchors, what else can I put down? Well, to find out, let's go to class, spawn hierarchy, and that'll give me a hierarchy browser on HTML canvas. You notice it has a subclass, WA render canvas. So over here you see a whole bunch of things, anchor, form, label, pop-up anchor, and so on. So there's a whole bunch of things, and if I deselect tags input, you see there's even more stuff in here. If I go down one level, you can see this is where you get things like buttons and radio buttons and submit buttons and so on. So the whole range of HTML components is available to you through the HTML variable that comes in, and that's how you put down things on your canvas. So if I wanted to change this from saying anchor to a button, well, let's try that. Let's put button, and let's put button again, and we'll hit Control S, and we'll come over here to our browser, and we'll just get rid of this session and reload it. There's buttons. But it doesn't work. And you wonder, well, why doesn't it work? Well, it's because anchors don't require a form, but if you remember the way HTML buttons work, you need a form here. So let's drop an HTML form, and that'll go into that kind of construction. I need a block around the entire form, so both buttons are in a form now. So if I reload this, now it works the way I expect. And that's how you can get things to work in the canvas. You can change things around. You can use any of the form elements that I want. So I can push that out of the way. One other thing I want to mention, so I can screw around with this, I can put whatever components I want as long as it's coming off render content on, or any method called from that. The only other thing you need is, how do I get the actual display in the browser? So when I went here, and we went to examples, how did counter end up here in the browser? Well, that name ended up visible because of this method here on the class side. We have WA admin register self as application at and some name. And that just has the path example/counter. It could be any name you want. It could be at the root level if I didn't include a path. It could be 2 or 3 levels down if you had that path available. So you can structure your Seaside application any way you want, so long as you register your application using this construct right here. So that's kind of a brief walkthrough of the simplest example in Seaside that could work and how it fits together. So until next time, have fun with small talk.